everyone, today I will give you a trick on how to write equations of quadratic function given a graph. So what's going on here is that we are given a graph, there are no labeled points in it, and we're supposed to determine the equation that would work for that graph. So I will give you the trick. So by the way, before we move into that trick, we have the steps here first. Step 1 is to determine the vertex. The second step is to, let's go over the first step. So the vertex for this graph is up here. So that's the vertex, and this point is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 3, 4. So then our vertex is 3 and that's negative 3. So it's a negative 3 since we went to the left. So that's negative 3 and 4. Okay, so that's the vertex. That's the first step. We determine the vertex. The second step is to determine the second point. So from here, we have to trace the second point by going through the graph, and let's see where does it sit. So this one doesn't sit on the the center right here, but this one is actually a good dot that we can pick. We can also pick this dot over here, and then we can pick also this dot over here. So the next thing that we're going to do is to determine the second point. We did, and we determined how many steps. The second point is from the vertex, and plug this into y equals ax squared. So this is the trick right here. So the trick is to determine the value of a. We're going to use this is pretty much like similar. This is pretty much like the parent equation of a quadratic function. So y equals ax squared. So the x here in this equation for step 2 is the number of steps to the right from the vertex. So from the vertex to the right. And then the y here represents the number of steps up or down to the second point. So you go step to the right, and then our target is from the vertex to the second point. You can pick this point right here. It doesn't really matter. So in this problem that we have here, I would have to go one step to the right. So that's 1 to the right, and then one step down. So that is a negative 1. And this will be the x. This will be the number that I will put into the x, because this x refers to the number of steps I go to the right from the vertex. And then this, let me use a different color of pen for this, so it's faster to determine. So that's a negative 1. And then this negative 1 right here, we are going to plug this into the y. So then we use this equation right here. So I'm just going to write it up here. So that is y is equal to ax squared. So I'll just rewrite it. So y equals a parentheses x squared. And then we're supposed to solve for a here. That's a target for the second step. So our y is, again, the steps to go down. That is a negative 1 equals our a is missing. And then our x is this number right here. The steps that we move to the right. And that is a 1. And this is a squared. So then this is negative 1 equals 1 squared is just 1. So I can just go ahead and write a. So our a, therefore, is negative 1. So the a is negative 1. So from here, we can already write the equation. So we're done. So the equation that we're going to have here would be y is equal to, our a is negative 1. So I can just write the negative there. I don't need to put the 1. And then parentheses x minus our h is negative 3. So I'm going to write negative 3 right here. And then this is squared, and then plus 4. So that would be a plus 4. We can still simplify this. Negative and negative will come as positive. So this is y equals negative x plus 3 squared plus 4. And this is the equation for this graph right here. Okay, so at this time, we are going to have the second problem. Okay, so second problem right here. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, and pause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So it's pretty much the same thing. We look for the vertex. Our vertex here is this point right here. So the x, that would be 1 and negative 1, 2, 3, 1 and negative 3. So that's a negative 3 right there. So our vertex is 1 and negative 3. So then we have the trick again. I will put that up here so we can use it. So then we are going to determine the second dot. So trace it on the graph. This second dot works, okay? This would also work. It doesn't matter which of those dots you would want to use. So, but this, just use this. So if you want to use this dot right here, that should be fine too. So, but then we are going to determine the x and the y. Remember, the x is the number of steps you go to the right, and the y is the number of steps. It's either you go up or down to get to the second dot. So this is one step here, so that's 1, and then this is another 1, which is positive. So then I am going to put this into this equation right here. Y is equal to ax squared. Our y again is this one. 1 is equal to a. Our x is 1. And that's a squared. So that is 1 equals a. Because you have 1 squared, it's just 1. And we don't need to put the 1. And so that is our a right here. So then our equation would come out to be y is equal to, it's just 1, so we don't need to put the 1 there. And then parentheses, we're looking for the graphing form. So that is x, the h is 1, so that's x minus, I'm going to write a positive 1. And then, because that's a 1 right there, the h. And then this is squared. And then we have a minus 3. So because remember, this is the h and this is the k. That's the h, that's the k. So then we can simplify this to be y equals x minus 1 squared minus 3. So this is our graphing form. In the question here, we're supposed to write this in general form as well. To find the general form, we can use the area model to find the product for this one. So I can go ahead and write that area model right here. So that is x minus 1, x minus 1. So that's x squared, negative x, positive 1. So then simplifying that, this is the diagonal right here. So this is x squared, and then minus 2x plus 1, and we have a minus 3. So this whole thing came out to be, these two are equivalent. So if you multiply this twice, that is x squared minus 2x plus 1, and we got a minus 3, so I put that in there. So then the final equation that we can have here is y equals x squared minus 2x, and then positive 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. So this equation that we have right here is the graphing form, and this equation here is the general form, and these two graphs are equivalent. Did you get the same answers as this? Good. Perfect. Now let's move on to the third example. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own, and when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So first, we determine the vertex. So the vertex is up this, it's up here. So that's the vertex. And so the coordinate for that is 1, 2, 3. That's negative 3. And then that's a negative 1. So negative 3, negative 1. And so the vertex is negative 3, negative 1, that's the h, that's the k. And then again, we had a trick that we've been using from the first two steps that we did. So we're going to use that again over here. So we are going to trace the graph. Where does it sit? So let's see, this one right here is the second point. So I'm going to label this as the second point. So then from here, we're going to draw the triangle. We're going to trace it up. It's like a triangle pretty much, but this is going to the right 1, and then this is going down 2. So I put a minus 2. So right 1 and down 2. So our x is 1. Our y is negative 2. So we plug that in here. So y is equal to a parentheses x squared. Again, our y is negative 2. We are missing the a because that's what we're solving for. Our x here is 1 squared. So then we have a negative 2. 1 squared is just 1. So a is actually negative 2. Okay, so that's our a value. And then after that, we're now ready to write the equation. So that would be y is equal to negative 2 parentheses x. That is a minus, that's a negative 3. And then squared, and then minus 1. So then we can go ahead and simplify this somewhere. Negative and negative will turn to positive. So this is y equals negative 2x plus 3 squared minus 1. So this is our general form. Now let's find the, oh no, this is the graphing form. Now to find the general form, we are supposed to use the area model for this binomial right there. So we go ahead and show the work up here. So that would be x plus 3 and then x plus 3. So then this is x squared, 3x, 3x, and 9. So that's the diagonal right there. So we rewrite it. So that would be a negative 2 parentheses. So that's a negative 2. I put that here. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then we still have a minus 1. Okay. So then we go ahead and distribute. So that is negative. So once we distribute this, let me show the work up here. So we're distributing the 2 to each term right here. So this would come out negative 2x squared. And then that is a negative 12x. And then that's a negative 18. And then that's a minus 1. So then the final equation is y equals negative 2x squared minus 12x. That is a negative 19. And this is our general form. Did you get the same answers as this? Good. Perfect. Now let's move on to the fourth example right here. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. It's pretty much the same thing, but this time around, we're going to get fraction on the a here. So let's have the vertex first. So that's the vertex right here. So the vertex for this problem is negative 1 and, so this is negative 1 and 5. So this is our h and k. And so the vertex here is, negative 1 and 5. And we're going to trace it. Trace the graph and see where is that second dot. So the second dot is right here. So that's the second dot. So what I would do is to determine how many steps do I go to the right. That's 2. And then I would go 3 steps down. So that's a negative 3. So then I am going to use the trick. So the same trick that we did from the first other problems. So this would be y is equal to ax squared. Again, this is our y, negative 3 equals a. And then, because we're solving for a, our x is 2. So this would be 2 and then square it. So this becomes negative 3 equals 4a because we have 2 squared is 4 and we got an a. So we're dividing both sides by 4. Divide this by 4. So then we are left with a is equal to negative 3/4. So this is our a. And then from here, we can write the equation. So that would be y is equal to negative 3/4 parentheses x. And then this is a minus negative 1. And then we square it. And then we have a plus 5. So that's a plus 5. So then the final answer here is y equals negative 3/4 x plus 1 squared plus 5. Another trick is just switch the sign of this and just write it out here. So this is our, we only need to, it says in the problem that we only need to solve for the graphing form. So did you get the same answer as this? Good, perfect. And we will have the last example here. So at this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So it's pretty much the same thing. This is our vertex. So I'm just going to label this as the vertex. So this is 1 and 1. So I'm going to write 1 and 1. So the H and that's the K. So the vertex here is 1 and 1. That's the first step. And then I am going to trace on the graph to get to the second point. So let's trace the graph. Oops, it's right here. Good. So that's the second point. So I'll put a dot on it. And then I am going to trace this up. So how do I get there? I go to the right. 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then I go up 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then we use the trick that we've been using for the other 4 problems here. So this would be y is equal to ax squared. So then our y is positive 3, and that is equal to our x is positive 3, and that's a squared. So then we have a 3 equals 9a. 9, because you have a 3 squared, is 9. We divide both sides by 9. Divide this by 9. Divide this by 9. So we're left with a is equal to 1/3. So that's our a. So then from here, we're supposed to write the graphing form. So that is y is equal to 1/3. And then x, switch the sign of this since that's a positive. So just put it a -1 squared. And then that's a plus 1. Did you get the same answer as this? Good. Perfect. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!